G'day legends, welcome back to the channel and I hope you guys are having a good week and welcome back to another edition of Show Us Your Tips for round 16. That's it, we are done with the buys. It's NSYNC round, it is bye buys. Well, I will see myself out. But look, it's good to have everyone back. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys are looking forward to another big week of footy. We got some absolute belter games to get into and some not so good ones as well. Actually, you know what, to be honest, I'm just going to say it. This round is probably going to be pretty boring, to be honest. I think there's probably 2 or 3 games that are going to be quite good and great to watch, but outside of that, I think we're going to see a few blowouts this weekend. But look, before we get stuck into our tips, guys, you guys know the drill. Make sure you check out all the links to the socials downstairs in the description of this video, as they always are. And if you haven't done it already, make sure you get around our 300 subscriber celebration mixer video that we did last week. We opened a metric dick ton of cards. It was absolutely fantastic. We had old school NBA, new school NBA, had a little bit of Pokemon TCG thrown in there, a heap of Teen Coach, a box of Legacy, and we hit some absolute bloody bangers. So make sure you go and get around that at your earliest convenience. Maybe after you've watched this video, who knows? But look, it was a really good time. I had a great time doing it, and yeah, we did pretty bloody well, might I say. Look, the video is an hour long, so I have time-stamped it so you can just go through and watch the bits that you want to watch. Highly suggest watching the Legacy part at the end. That was pretty bloody good. All right, guys, I think that is pretty much all the waffling you're going to get out of me for today. Let's get stuck into the tips. Alright, boys and girls, we're getting stuck into it for round 16 and we are kicking things off with Brisbane hosting the Melbourne Demons at the Gabba. Now, as we said last week, guys, Brizzy are on the bloody march. Look, they will continue their winning ways for me this week. I think the D's are just kind of in no man's land at the moment, right? I don't know, I'm looking for a big response here from Clary Oliver in particular, but more so just the D's in general. Look, they have had some big wins at the Gabba in recent times, so it's not out of the question. But I just don't think they got the cattle to get it done here. Like I said, Brizzy with a big march into September action. They will play finals after an absolutely horrific start of the season. And I got Brizzy here by about 5 goals. I think I'm going with the crowd here. I'm going to lock him in by about 5, possibly even 6 goals. Let's lock him in by 34 points and move on to the first game on Saturday morning where we've got the Roos playing host to the Doggies at Marvel. To be honest, it's crowd advantage only. This is both of these teams' home ground. And I must say, North are looking a lot better and they nearly stole a win for the second week in a row against the D's last week. 2 heartbreaks in a row for the Roos. That's, you know, that's a bit of a bummer for them. They were right in both of those games. But look, to be honest, the side itself is starting to look much more competitive. And this is a good thing, not just for them, but for the league in general. Sort of a little bit like how West Coast have been the last, little while. I mean, don't get me wrong. There's been some games we've been non-competitive. Don't get me wrong. We'll talk about the Eagles later. But, not having sides that are uncompetitive is just better for the league. I think we can all agree on that one, right? Look, the Dogs are a different proposition to the Demons, though. And as much as they've been very inconsistent over the first half of the year, I definitely think they get the job done here relatively easy against the Roos. One sort of little caveat on this one, there is a bit of a watch on Bont this week. Apparently had some back spasms at training either this morning or yesterday, and, he may or may not play. Do I think that's going to change the result of this game? No, but it might, I don't know, change the margin, and it might be one to watch for your dream team and your fantasy and all that sort of stuff. So, look, don't think there's going to be much going on here. Going to have to tip the Dogs, obviously. I'm going to tip them by about 5 goals, I reckon. Like I said, Roos are a little bit more competitive this time of year. I don't think this is going to be a 10 to 20 goal blowout. That is for sure. All right, moving on to the next game. We've got Sydney hosting the Dockers at the SCG. I think this is going to be a pretty good game. Freo sitting 5th of the ladder at the moment. And look, obviously the Swans are flying. Look, Freo will be without their captain, Alex Jesus Christ Pearce, which is obviously a huge out for them. And unfortunately, this has come at a pretty bad time for the Dockers. Look, hopefully he's only missing 3 to 5 games and should be back, relatively soon. But one thing I guess the Dockers can sort of can hope for as well, they got Brendan Cox coming back pretty soon, so he should be able to slot into that role. And as much as he's not probably the at the level of Alex Pearce in terms of a one-on-one defender and a general and leader in that back line, it'll certainly help soften the blow a little bit for them. But look, again, it's a positive thing for them. 3 to 5 weeks isn't too bad when, people were talking that might be him for the season. So, look, that's just going to be the way it is. I don't think I can tip against the Swans at home also. But, these are also sort of the games that Freo just have a tendency of, like, showing up and just pulling these massive upsets and then going and losing to a bottom 4 side at home the next week. So, look, I wouldn't be surprised if Freo stole it, but you just got to go with the Swans, right? You can't tip against the Swans. Freo looking good, but I think this will be a loss for them. I don't think it's going to be a big blowout like some people here seem to think. I've got them for about 3 or 4 goals, so I'm going to lock them in for 20 points there, and that should sew that one up for sure. Alrighty, next we are moving on to what I think is going to be a pretty good game, and it looks like a lot of people sort of think the same, that this is where the margin's going to be. I'm genuinely looking forward to watching this one. The Suns are just a different team at home, and as much as the Pies do travel well, I think it's a big ask for any club, let alone one that's as undermanned as the Pies at the moment, to go out to People's First Stadium on the Gold Coast and do a number on the Suns. Look, word on the street is they're going to get Pendles, Mitchell, and maybe Jordan Deneau means Noe back, but look, that's also a lot of underconditioned guys to put straight back into a side. Look, I still think the Pies are the second or third, fourth best team in the comp at the moment, but I don't know. This feels like one they might drop. I don't know. My head says Suns, but my gut just kind of says Collingwood are going to get this one done. So, my heart also says Suns as well. Lifelong Suns fan. 5-year member. But look, my gut's been pretty good this year, so I'm going to trust my gut, and I'm going to say that the Pies get this one here at a really good away win, but just by a goal or two. Let's lock them in by 10 points. That sees them slide into third, all things considered, which is, after the start they had pretty bloody good. All right, picking things up after the Pies and the Suns, we have got the Cats hosting the Bombers at the MCG. Look, both of these teams really need to win this game to prove their finals credentials, in my opinion. And as much as I think the Cats will fall out of the 8, I think it's very important for the Bombers to beat a top 8 side, just to prove that it's not just their draw that's gotten them to where they are. They need a scalp, and as much as the Cats aren't probably the biggest scalp right now, I think internally it's good for them to just be able to say we beat a team in the top 8 and really just build that belief that they deserve to be where they are. Look, will a win by the Bombers here silence the doubters? Probably not. But like I said, I think it's important for them to just check that off mentally going into the back half of the season. I mean, it's crazy that they're third on the ladder, right? Don't get me wrong. The Bombers are a good side. I mean, they've beaten West Coast twice. But look, I personally don't think there is any way in hell that they are the third best side in the competition. I think most people would agree with me. Kind of feel like I've been saying this for a little while now, and talking about things that I've been saying for a little while now, like the cliff is coming for the Cats, right? Like I've been saying this for 2-3 years. I've been wrong for 2 or 3 years, but I feel like the time has finally come for vindication for me in saying that for so long. And I think the Bombers get the job done here. Look, if this was down at Alphabet Stadium, I think that would be a much different proposition, but it's not. It's at the MCG, and while it's kind of weird that the MCG is neither of these teams' home grounds, right? But anyway, this isn't going to be a video about fixturing. We might do another one of those later in the year, but look, for now I'm going to be locking in the Bombers by about 3 goals here. I think that seems fair. Let's lock them in by exactly 18 points there and move on to the next game of the round, which is the Adelaide Crows and the GWS Giants at the Adelaide Oval, the second game for Saturday night this week. And tell you what, man, what has happened to the Crows this year? What has happened to the Crows? I was pretty big on them pre-season after I think most people were after their year last year where they missed finals. We all know about how they missed finals of, a pretty bad call by a goal umpire, let's just say that. And, since then, the arse has just fallen straight out of the Crows. Look, the Giants, on the other hand, they've been okay the last few weeks, very much yo-yoing in form. I think it's been loss, win, loss, win, loss for the last 5 games in a row. And look, they had a stellar start to the year and were, maybe after round 6 or 7, probably my tip for the flag. But that was kind of before the juggernaut that Sydney kept rolling on. But Look, to be honest, not a super interesting game here. Giants should get the win with relative ease here and, just spoil the party for the Crows at home. Look, I could be wrong here. The Crows could just, with the home crowd, I think they've got Tex back this week or he was in doubt. I think, did he play last week? God, I don't even know. So much footy. I've almost got a little bit of footy exhaustion, to be honest. But look, I'm going to lock the Giants in here. I think I'm a bit more bullish on them than everyone else. I got them by about 4 or 5 goals. I'm going to lock them in by 26 points. All right, guys, now we are moving on to a bit of Sunday footy. And Port Adelaide, wow, just wow. I almost tipped Port last week. That is... Oh, what a bunch of clowns. Look, I'm definitely ready to concede my season-long view that I was wrong on Port. I'm happy to say it. I had them as a top 2 or 3 team. And as much as I feel like one game doesn't really make a season, obviously, this was bad. This was real bad. Oh God, look, that was probably that were the worst performance by any team of the year, I'd say. Now, I know there's been bigger losses, but by a team who is, genuinely respected and thought of as maybe not a top 4 team, but definitely a top 8 team. This was something else. Look, that being said, I think they're going to bounce back pretty hard here and have a pretty good win over the Saints. I mean, you'd want to see it, right? You'd want to see it. And the Saints, God, aren't they just the most boring team in the league right now? I don't know. It feels like Port's season can go one of 2 ways here. If there isn't a huge response this week, and if they do get beaten by the Saints, which it looks like a lot of people think they're going to, look, I don't know. Is that the end for Ken? I don't know. I don't think they're going to sack him mid-season, but I would really, if I'm a Port Adelaide fan, I'd like to see a big response here. Or maybe they wouldn't. I mean, a lot of Port fans, maybe they don't want to see a response here so that Ken does get the arse and they can put Josh Carr in charge. I don't know. Pair fans, get at me in the comments. Like, what do you actually want to see for the rest of the year from Port? Do you want to charge home and win some finals, or do you just want to give up so they sack Ken? I don't know. Seems weird, but I think Port are going to come out firing and absolutely spank the Saints, to be honest. I've got them by about 6 goals. I don't know. I just think it's more of a narrative win than maybe a skill versus team win. That being said, also defensive Ross Lyon teams, are they going to be able to kick big enough score to beat them by that much? Who knows? Who knows? But look, we'll move on to the next game of the round, and that is Richmond taking on Carlton at the MCG. Guys, it's 2nd versus 17th. It's the best 2-prong forward attack versus a very undermanned backline. It's a David and Goliath-esque battle in the midfield. It's Carlton by 10 goals. That's it. That's all we're going to say about it. That is all we're going to say about it. And we're going to move on to what I believe is going to be game of the round. And that is my West Coast Eagles hosting the Hawks at Optus Stadium over here on a Sunday afternoon. Now, did anyone say game of the round? Because that's what I heard. I heard game of the round. Look, I think this is going to be a lot better of a game than people give it credit for. I think most people obviously here are just tipping the Hawks to get the job done. But with West Coast Rooks having Tim Kelly and Harley Reid coming back, we're at home. Fresh off a pretty good away performance, to be honest. I know it blew out a little bit in the last 5 minutes, but I got to be honest, I think that West Coast really did push the Bombers all the way till the end. And look, like I said, they blew it out a little bit at the end there. I think they kicked 4 goals in the last 4 minutes or something like that, but or maybe 3 in the last 3. I can't really why, but I got to admit, if you actually watch the game, it definitely felt like that all the way through. Personally, I never felt like West Coast were going to win that game, but they were just kept hanging around. And you know what happens when a team just hangs around? Anything can happen. Look, in saying that, the Hawks are one of the form teams in the competition. They have won, 4 of their last 5 of the last 6 or something like that. They're coming off the bye. Does that mean they're going to be a bit not lazy, but are they going to come out firing because they're well rested? Are they going to come out a little bit rusty because they've had the week off? Who knows? But I am definitely excited for this one. Look, I think West Coast are a genuine chance if they play their best footy. Obviously, it's exciting to have Harley Reid back. How's he going to come out after a few weeks of no footy? I'll be honest, I think he's going to come out pretty angry. I think he's going to come out on fire, and I dare say we might get a derby performance out of him for this game. But look, I think the Eagles' chances really also rely on whether or not Elliot Yeo's going to play. Obviously, he tragically lost his father this week. So, look, I don't think anyone would begrudge Elliot having the week off. Some things are bigger than football, and family is definitely one of them. And look, I don't know. My gut kind of says West Coast are going to win here, but is that just the supporter in me coming out? I think I'll be tipping with my head here, and I think I'll be going with the group think here and saying that Hawthorn get it done, not by a huge margin though. I'm gonna lock them in by about 10 points, but I gotta tell you what, this should be an absolute ripper of a game to finish the round. So let's lock it in. Alright guys, well that sums us up for another edition of Show Us Your Tips. A quick recap, we are going with Brisbane by 5 goals at home against the D's. We got the Dogs to win relatively easy over North, Sydney to beat Freo at home, and Collingwood to give the Suns their first loss at home this year. We got the Giants to spoil the party at the Adelaide Oval over the Crows, Essendon to cement their place in the top 4 with a nice little win over the Cats there, Carlton to absolutely decimate Richmond. We got Port having a big response to get the job done over the Saints. and the Hawks to win a tight one over the Eagles at home. All right, guys, that's going to do us for another week. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget, if you haven't already, make sure you check out our 300 subscriber celebration video. That was an absolute good time. And if you want us to get us to 500 and you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you smash that button as well. Hit us up in the comments with your tips for the week. And yeah, guys, we'll see you in the next one.